of your parents. That's a kind of argument.
Oh my goodness.
Many arguments. It's one argument. It's one argument. Yeah. You're presenting all of your evidence for one argument.
Now, the witness story that the killing took place in, the man, when he was having a brain tumor, well, he had a brain tumor, and once he got it removed, they say he started acting different. Now, the problem that I have with this, when they say acting different, is like, what do you mean by different? His behavior changing, his emotions, and all this stuff that some people can't control. But Whitman, he couldn't control, so they say. I feel, well, not what I feel, what I know, is that he could have controlled his behavior and how the way he was acting. And with that, it's not just his story, it's other stories, like the podcast that we listen to. As the man, he said he was having his emotion change and how everything was changing, but why he didn't get help? Like he said he needed, or he noticed that things was changing. Why he didn't go get help when he know that it all could have been prevented? And as I keep thinking about it and going deep into it, it don't make sense to me. How can he rule not guilty when you know that he is? He could have easily got help, told his family, or just, simply known that something's wrong with him. Like we all know, if we have a headache, feeling sick, throwing up, you know that something's wrong with you. It's not something that happens daily. So why do y'all figure that he's innocent? When, all honesty, you got the evidence to prove that he's guilty. I don't understand. They say that Whitman killed 15 people, injured 31, killed his wife and his mother. But also in that statement, he said that he wanted to release his mother from the cruelty that was going on already, to release her and let her be free. Now, if he had such a dangerous mind, how can he process that? How can he think like that? When you have a mind like that, but, I don't understand. Since he got brain damage or something wrong with him, how can you think and process like that? It don't make sense. Just like the other story with the podcast. He was watching the stuff that he was watching at home but not at work, because he know what he was doing is wrong. But when he was at home, he felt like he couldn't get in trouble with it. It don't make sense. So simply, as I continue to speak on, they both are guilty. Guilty, no matter what. The brain injury that he have, so that they say that he can't function right, or stuff like that. It's totally not right. Because they know what they were doing was wrong, and they continue to do it. And they didn't decide to change nothing. And as you heard in the story of women, that he wanted to get, he wanted to get the autopsy on his brain. That let you know that he knew something was wrong with him, that he could have got help longer than what he did. As they say, he's got 2 hours of the little help that he needed, but he didn't stay. He didn't go back after that, if he knows something was wrong with him. So, but yes, like I was saying, it don't make sense. How can y'all think that he's not guilty when he actually is? All the stuff that was going on, the signs, and you tried to ignore it? The man could have got help anytime he wanted or anytime he needed, but he did not get the help. He killed 15 people. No, yeah, he killed 15 and injured 31 people. You scared me. I don't even want to see the camera.
Courtney.
Okay, so the ruling says he is guilty, which is wrong. Did you guys read all of incognito?
Did you?
Because it literally said he went to the doctor for 2 hours.
And I did say that in
And
2
laid on
hours.
his couch, and he did tell him all of his problems that he needed help, but the doctors said that there was nothing wrong with him, so it never showed back up. And also you said that he killed 15 people, and then he killed his mother and his wife, and then he killed himself, okay?
Awesome.
Incognito says he killed, that 30 people were killed that day, including himself.
And I
Okay,
read
and he
all
said
that.
31 people were injured, there were 33 people injured. So, you gotta get your facts up, sorry, just saying.
And on the podcast, you were saying that he was only like watching pornography, and when he was having surgery, the doctors only focused on music. And after the surgery, he started doing like more of everything that he enjoyed doing, which was eating, playing piano more, and having sex. You never mentioned any of those. So it really wasn't just him watching porn. So something was like wrong with his brain. It wasn't his fault.
Okay, like you said, 13 people. You're wrong. I read the article back in 1966, August the 1st. They had the article about what all the people who was killed and all the people who were injured. They said it was 15 who was killed and 31 who was injured, actually. So you might want to get your facts right. And back what you said with that, you're right. I should have added more into that. And that's stuff that I already knew. He was playing the piano more. He was eating more, and his sexual habits have gotten, more. So, yeah, any more questions?
What you said that his actions, he knew what he was doing. So for mental ill kids, they are mentally ill, right? So when they do something, they have a feeling that it's wrong. You're right about that, but they don't have the ability to tell themselves to not do it. So therefore, you can kind of say they're in the same boat because he don't have all the prospects you're supposed to have in your brain. And if they took out something in your brain that you're supposed to have, then how do you expect them to still be the same and to know what they're doing? Just like you said, a mentally ill kid should still be accountable for their actions.
He may live 25 years.
Can I answer?
Yeah, anyone.
I can answer. Okay, so I have a picture of the brain right here. Okay, so in the story of Alex, when he got his little brain surgery or whatever, it said that it was like certain parts that they touched, and if he stopped singing, then that meant that they needed to leave that part alone. But we looked in our book that we found in the library, and it's a part of the brain that's in the very front, and it affects your personality, your emotions, and your IQ. So basically how you think and how you feel. And that's what they took out, and then they left this little part right here where you be singing and stuff. So basically, I don't feel like you should be trying to compare an adult to a child, because a child haven't really learned anything because they just starting their life. So basically, a grown man would have more common sense than a child would, and a child will actually be taught from right from wrong, and an adult already knows it.
My first piece of evidence comes from the book Incognito by David Eagleman. It says, his cool irrational parties were battling his reactive, violent parties, but damage from the tumor tipped the vote so it was no longer a fair fight. This making him lose control of his actions at any given moment for any given reason. Impulse control was a big problem for both of these men we're arguing about today. The problem was impulse control is not 24/7. It is triggered by small things. This seen in epilepsy and other diseases like Kluver-Bucy syndrome. This meaning the men could be fine at any given moment, and then something very minor could tip them off, and then they could have the desires and the cravings. My second quote comes from the podcast Radio Loud called Blame. It says, "This could have been anyone and we could not stop it." Meaning that Kevin, who had Kluver-Bucy syndrome, his syndrome could not have been stopped, and he didn't know what he was doing. He was not only watching pornography, which is child pornography, which is illegal. He was also eating excessive amounts and playing the piano for long periods of time a day. All these changes are proven to be effects of the syndrome and epilepsy. His change in sexual desires were triggered at home and not at work, because it's not 24/7. It said that it happened when he was comfortable, which would be at home, and not work, when he would have to be in a more professional environment. My third quote comes from the book My Stroke of Insight. It says, "I watched my mind completely deteriorate. I couldn't walk, talk, read, or write, or recall any of my life." This meaning that after the stroke, which also has a lot of brain injury, he forgot how to do everything, meaning that he did not know right from wrong. And just like a child, you have to be taught what's right and what's wrong. So he was doing things that he thought were correct, but he was never taught after his stroke that they were wrong.
I like your point, get some food. But like you said, with his workplace, how, he don't, always do it. But could he just snap back in reality and know that there's something wrong with him and still get help? Can he do that?
Because people with brain injury, you said they are not you can't compare a child to a grown man, but you can, because a lot of times with people with autism, which is a brain dysfunction, they could have the mentality of a child, which they don't understand a lot. So their common sense is not up there.
But in this certain topic, we were talking about a brain tumor being removed, not as a child who was already born with the, effect of that. So,
Can I
as
stop you real quick?
I'm trying to get the point through. So, I still, I don't, you can't compare that still, like you said. You can't, because the child was born with it. It grows. It didn't just, you weren't born with it.
It doesn't matter if you're born with it or not. It affects your brain to where you forget everything. And also, the tumor was not removed from Kevin until after he was dead, which means he didn't change after the tumor was removed. Not Kevin, but the incognito, Charles. His tumor was not removed until after he had passed away, but Kevin did not have a tumor. He had brain surgery to remove part of his brain so that his seizures would stop.
But this is
But
Mr. Roberts, may I please go on with the last argument? Can I say something about incognito? Okay, Decor, back to what you were saying. I have incognito pulled up right here on my laptop.
and I got the article.
We are now about to argue about these statistics.
And it says, not including Whitman, 13 people were killed and 33 wounded. So, what you were saying? I'm trying to stop.
Can I show you my article? Which was actually about that time. I'm show you.
It seems like they're only arguing on one topic. And only one person is arguing.
Does anybody have an actual question?
Sniper wounded 15, wounded 31.
I'm saying what incognito.
Yeah.
Gotta go with that.
We got questions?
Well, the court, like you were saying, how can a grown man know different from a child? Well, it's just like if your grandmother had amnesia or she get Alzheimer's and she forget how to do stuff, right? That's a brain disorder. So therefore, you can't expect her to know where you would know, because she don't still have that mentality. And if you get a brain surgeon, they remove a very important part of your brain, like if they remove the function of you knowing how you feel and knowing right from wrong, then there's no way you can still know right from wrong if you don't have that part in your brain. You don't have that logic. It is it's not possible for you to even get that part back because it's gone.
That's the same thing.
When you
with,
got family who support, they can help you with it.
It's the same thing with split personality. Like Mr. Mateen or someone was telling
And
me.
this is basically part of his brain they removed.
Some people don't have that support in their family to help them. Some people, they can talk to their family, you know, they don't listen to them. Some people, like, I need help with something. Like, I have certain friends that help me with certain stuff. I have friends who don't. Like, I can talk to them about stuff I don't talk to other people about. So you can't really say that it's the family can always help you, because some people, family and friends and peers and stuff not there for them like others.
I said if.
And it's still not going to change the fact that they still can't think or process the same.
Okay.
And you keep talking about that they can be taught, but what if they what if they do these horrible things before they're taught what's right from wrong? Before they can understand, I'm not supposed to kill people, I'm not supposed to watch this.
In which in case happening on things.
You can't automatically.
Okay, so also with Charles Whitman, so you were saying that he just went on like this crazy rampage, you know. Well, if you look back into his background, he was in the military. So have you ever heard of PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder? So like Joey was saying, how it could be just tipped off at any time. What if that was going on? Because like I know a lot of people that have PTSD, and they just be chilling on the couch, and then they hear like somebody drop a pin, and they're hiding under tables and stuff. And what if that happened? Do we know?
Like I said before, that snapshot, I always feel that something is wrong with them and get help.
And
Don't they got
what if they don't remember?
Okay, well, what you said, they can have highly insidious, which means you may think, hold on. And whatever they feel, like they don't have the ability to know that just because they feel it, it might not be right. But with highly insidious, whatever you feel, you don't think is right because you're gonna have that part in your brain. So therefore, reality to them is just the same thing as it's not the same thing as they were before they got the surgery, but it's the same thing as them killing people. They think that's reality. So they don't have the ability to snap back in reality, as you would say.
Okay, thank you.
So y'all, for the people who say he is responsible, may say that he didn't get help. Well, Kevin and Charles both got help. Kevin thought it was normal for until his wife noticed all the changes and got him help. Kevin didn't have that part of his brain that could control his sexual appetite, his sexual desire, his appetite, or his originality. Or to originality. Kayla, you So therefore, like, they tried to get help, but if you get turned away from getting help, then it's just like, what's the point? And so just like you got to do it on your own. But if you don't have the brain or the thought to do it on your own, then how could you possibly get help? Also, Kevin had 2 surgeries and got medication. How could you say he didn't try to get help? Because his wife did get him help. And she stayed with him through all that. So, yes, he had support. But he didn't even notice he needed help because, and his wife didn't even notice it also. Okay. Damn it, this had to make a discussion. Also, Kevin, you can say that he had some thought that he was doing wrong, right? But when you have brain damage, it disparages from knowing right from wrong, and it make you question yourself. So when he kept on deleting the pornography off his computer and downloading the back, he was questioning himself, and then he didn't have the thought to know that he should just keep it off because his brain was damaged. Also, with the IQ thing, if you get surgery on your brain, you do not know. They have thought, but you do not know what every piece of your brain holds. So if they take out your IQ and stuff, then how is it possible for you to still have your intelligence and the ability to think the same? Kayla, you should have been writing it.
You should be able to control your actions and get help with you should be able to control your actions and could get help with them. It's been beneficial due to Whitman's and Adam's behavior. In conclusion, Whitman shouldn't be excused of his crimes just because he has a tumor/brain head injury. It almost seems like he wanted to hurt people to stop his pain. After all, he killed his own mother and wife along with 14 other innocent people. He didn't cry for help. He did cry for help. It just wasn't loud enough. It's hard not to die in the ocean if you don't tell someone on your boat to save you. He was very intelligent. He had an IQ of 138, so there is nothing really wrong with him. He was smart enough to realize that he was wrong if he killed his mother to take the pain of abuse away. He's smart enough to make a better choice.
Our closing statements are: these victims of brain damage and mental illness are responsible but shouldn't be held accountable for their crime. They struggle with dangerous impulse controls and sometimes completely forget everything. We admit that Kevin and Charles are guilty of the crimes, but they had no control over it, so they are not to blame. If anything is to blame, is their brain damage that's responsible. And I would say the doctors are to blame, because if they did a better job, if they did better at their job, they would have noticed that these changes were going to happen. They could have prescribed them medication and stuff to prevent it, or rehab or anything or something. And another thing is, I would say they aren't to blame, because they really didn't have control over it. It's not like he just woke up one morning and decided that he wanted to just do it. And I don't know, that's it.
Alright, so in conclusion, the choices of a person who has brain damage or has had a tumor removal cannot cause significant changes towards their actions. They can get help, but they just don't want it. I feel like they just took control of what they had because they know they wouldn't be caught of doing, what had happened. So yeah, that's in the conclusion.